Welcome to The Clever Angle, the podcast where you get job shadowing experience without the job shadowing. I'm your host, Tevin McGee, and without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to your first day on the job. Today I sit down with Financial Advisor Jordan Owen, and he shares what it's like to work for yourself, but not by yourself.
My name's Jordan Owen. I'm a financial advisor here in Jonesboro. I work for a company called Northwestern Mutual. In college, I failed out of college.
Yeah.
So I was going to go be a dentist. And like, that was my dream. I was like, cause they didn't work on Fridays.
So when did you start wanting to be a dentist?
So when I was in the 5th grade, I moved from Brooklyn to Nettleton, and I had these big buck teeth because a girl at my elementary kicked my teeth out. So I had these grown men teeth in like I had grown men teeth in like the 5th grade.
Yeah.
And everybody called me Bucktooth Billy. Yeah. And I went to the dentist and I went to the orthodontist.
Yeah.
And he started putting braces on me. And then I knew I couldn't go to the orthodontist on Fridays because the orthodontist didn't work on Fridays. And I was like, that's the job.
3-day weekend?
Yeah, that's the job.
Do it.
That's the job. And I was just always fascinated by that. And so like, I come out of school and I was like, I didn't apply myself, but I was like, I want to be a dentist.
Yeah.
And then in that, I was just, I got sucked into I was working through college. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I went to school at ASU Paragould, which was good because it was cheap, but it was bad because all my friends were in my classes. And so we were hanging out and partying a little bit too much. And I was working. So I literally worked 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Target.
Wow.
And then I would go to school through the middle of the day. And then I would go work at Old Navy through the middle of the day to night. Just try to pay for my school.
Yeah.
My dad was one of those guys that was like, you need to work 40 hours a week, and go to school.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, your dad was like that too. And so, that was like, and so that just didn't bode well for me. Like, I flunked out of college. I was drinking, working, going to school, hanging out with my friends. And I was like, dentists don't do that. Dentists like crack down and go to school.
Yeah.
And, so I ended up flunking out of college and I worked at a factory on night shift.
What factory you worked
Canfield Far.
Okay.
So
that's over here off of
Airport Road.
Yeah.
So they were starting a night crew. And so I was working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Wow.
Over there. And so
how long did you work there?
I worked there for a year, paid off all my student loans so I could go back to school because I got on academic suspension.
Yeah.
So you had to pay what you owed that year to go back to school. And then I told myself, I was like, I actually want to go do something, a little bit more fulfilling. So I was like, I'm going to go be a teacher.
Yeah.
And so my family was opening up a truck brokerage. So my family's in trucking companies. They've been it since I was a kid. So they allowed me to work my schedule that I wanted to and go to school. But here's the thing about that. I was an entrepreneur. Like, in my heart, I couldn't work for anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't. It's not in my blood. And so I just kept saying yes to all their opportunities because my uncle owned the business. And I was like, if I get as close as I can get to my uncle, you know what I mean? Like, I want to own a business one day. And so I was like, if I was going to go be a teacher, I was going to go be a superintendent and I was going to run the school. Yeah. Like, that's my always thing is like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to run the place. Yeah. And so, long story short, going into my internship, my cousin gets pregnant and she was the right hand person to the company, to my uncle. And I was just like, I don't know if, my uncle was like, hey, would you be willing to help out? Because they hired somebody to do it. And like a month before they were starting it, like the lady had to take a job somewhere else, or her husband was taking a job somewhere else. So they were about to be screwed the pooch, They had literally nobody to do this job. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Because I'd taken almost every job in the company. I'd helped out in that sort of fashion. So I told my uncle, I was like, here, you'll have to pay me more than a teacher. Yeah. So I'll do that. And then I want the option to like work under you and learn the business. And I sort of wanted to own my own business. I was wanting to run that one, to be honest with you. Yeah. And then I quickly realized within like a year and a half, I was like, oh, no, I don't like trucking. So I found my entrepreneurial spirit. I found out my field I didn't like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I was dipping my toe. So I still love coaching, but I don't know how to own my own coaching. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then I was like, so I sort of found my.
So what were you going to teach?
Elementary PE and history. Like I wanted to teach history. I was just big nerd, you know, a history nerd.
Yeah.
And so I love all that. And so I found my passion teaching. I found my like drive of working for myself. And I met a guy here at Northwestern, and his name's Gene McAvoy. And he, at the time, my wife Elisa owned a clothing store in Paragould.
Yeah.
His wife and my wife knew each other, and we were like kindred spirits.
Yeah.
I finally met him over Thanksgiving break. And he was just this big ball of energy, dressed real nice, always had new trucks. I was like, what do you do, man? Like, what do you do? You look like you live in the life. And he told me, he was like, man, I'm a financial advisor at Northwestern Mutual. What do you think when we hear financial advisor? Like, you're a nerd, you went to finance school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're a numbers guy.
Sure,
you
that's
got
what you hear.
You got a master's.
Yeah.
You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Like,
sure. And that's what I thought. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, finally, I just told my uncles, I was like, me and them had that talk, and I was like, I can't sit in an office all day. Like, I understand you guys have to do this, but I cannot sit in an office all day. And so I told him, I was like, dude, whatever I want to come work for you.
Yeah.
Like I told him that, and he was like, go talk to our managing director, Randy Hoggard.
Yeah.
And so Randy Hoggard's a great dude. Well, I thought I was going to interview for Gene's like assistant or something. I just knew he made a ton of money, and I was like, I'll help you make money. Like, I love money.
Yeah.
And Randy said, we like your personality. We want you to be an advisor at the firm, but these are some of our values. Like, we want you to take the job because we want you to. So this is a little kicker of what you said.
Yeah.
Of know your worth.
Yeah.
So you make what you're worth.
Yeah.
If you're not, so you kill what you eat, you're going to make what you're worth.
Yeah.
You work for yourself, but you don't work by yourself. So, excuse me, we have all these advisors here that are willing to help me at any point that I need it, but nobody's calling me on 9 a.m. on a Monday going, where you at?
Yeah.
Like, are you here? Why aren't you here in the office? And so I was like, okay. He was trying to tell me the negative stuff about it. Like, okay, you're going to get rejected by people. And I was like, I don't care. Like, okay, all you said was I get to make what I'm worth.
And at 9 o'clock, you're not calling me.
Yeah, and I was like, let's do it. Like, where do I sign? And so and then throughout doing the job. So again, this is sort of like finding your niche and stuff. Is I found that I could coach in this profession.
Yeah. So you basically got to bond the two things that you really enjoyed, which is like coaching people and working for yourself.
Yeah.
But we are going to end this part one. Got to go pick the kids up. We'll pick this up.
Yeah, still we sort of got a little crazy.
Yeah, we did get a little crazy, but I promise you we're gonna finish. You just hold that thought right there. I'm gonna make a little note that we were just talking about you merging your two passions together, and then I'll find you next week or whenever you're free again, and we'll finish up.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right. All right, everybody. Welcome back. We're here for part two. We got Jordan Owen, the financial advisor for Northwestern Mutual. We're going to reel it back in, and I promise you we're going to talk about his career this time. But, sometimes you just have to go off the rails. You got to talk about superheroes for an hour. Like I said, the people are here for you. And
I don't know about that, but yeah.
the financial advisor role. Okay, so, continue to take me through your journey.
Sure. So I think last time we were talking about I worked at the trucking company.
Yeah.
And wasn't a very good employee over there. Just I wasn't good at sitting in an office, and so.
But don't you sit in an office now, or do you have like more freedom?
No, it's way more freedom at this point. Just from the simple fact of I enjoyed coaching, but it wasn't. I didn't want to coach forever, so I didn't want to be this coach. I didn't want to coach in the school system, but I loved the actual art of coaching. I enjoyed running my own business, but I didn't enjoy running a trucking company. So we sort of paired those two. Of being in this industry, I sat down with a guy named Randy Hoggard, and he was like, "Man, this is a career where you make what you're going to be worth, so you eat what you kill, basically." and you're not going to work, by yourself, but you will work for yourself. I enjoyed that. So I don't like people telling me what to do. I can't clock in at 9, be done at 5. I just can't do that. It's not the way I'm wired.
So what time do you usually get to the office then? Is it
7:30?
7:30. Okay.
So preferably I would like to get here. I've had like a little weird on my schedule, but when I'm working at my best, I'm here at like 6:30 or 7. Drink me a cup of coffee, get ready for my day, do any kind of like quiet time or studying. Preferably studying, doing some kind of new learning, and then about 8:15 my day kicks off and I'm gone.
What are you usually studying?
Any kind of investment stuff. So I can always get further new learning in my field. And so that's some sort of reading a book or reading a psychology book of human psychology, what's going on in the world. Like I need to do some kind of studying daily because you're either green or growing or brown and dying. And so I gotta be consistently learning something.
Okay, so continue to take us through, like you're working at the trucking company.
Yeah.
You're not a model employee.
Yeah,
You're dreaming of something different. You're trying to get out of the cage of being in the office.
Sure.
What goes on after that?
So man, I actually start my own trucking company.
What?
Yeah. So I start my own trucking company when I'm there, and
what does that look like?
It's a 23-year-old dude, 24-year-old dude investing like $100,000 into a trucking company and sort of just winging it, and it was terrifying. I ended up. So, if I have any kind of advice to share from that,
yes,
it's be very careful early on. So I didn't mind taking the risk because it wasn't a calculated risk though. So I ended up losing like $30,000 in this whole venture, and it put a strain on my family and put a strain on me. But I'm glad I took it at 25, 26, instead of taking it at 45, 46.
Yeah.
So I started my own trucking company, and I liked that more. But I was sitting there, I hated going
trucks. Why did
that's just my family. That was easy. It was the easy industry to get into because that was what my family was into. And so, I sit there. And, you ever heard the Steve Harvey speech jump? Like sometimes to be successful, you got to jump. I watched that probably 100 times and just telling myself, I was like, there's got to be something different out there. Like there's just got to be. And, and that's sort of we talked about last episode of why I talked to Gene and talked to these guys. I was just like, man, I know those guys are making money. They seem to enjoy life. I want to go do
money.
that.
Yeah,
I like money. I like enjoying life. I want to go do that. And so that's where all it led to I come talk to Randy and he tried to tell me negative stuff about this job. Like, it's hard. You're going to get kicked in your teeth your first 5 years. And I was like, I don't care. Come on. All you said was I can make what I'm worth. I don't have, nobody's going to tell me when to be here, and I'm not by myself in this whole thing.
Yeah,
that's all. That's what I heard, and my ears shut off after that. And so he literally set me in an office, gave me a phone, said start trying to get in front of people, and that's what my job is trying to get in front of people.
Okay, so when was this? Like, how long have you been doing this job right here?
So this was back in 2016.
Okay.
This was back in going on 4 years. So. 2011 is when I started in the trucking company. Worked my way up from being a simple broker all the way to, right hand man of the company within a 5-year time slot with really a 3.5-year time slot. And then through all that, the next 1.5 years was with my uncle running the company. Again, me and him butted heads a lot because of he wanted things done a certain way, and I didn't like being told what to do. So, you know what I mean? Paired with running my own trucking company, being 25, it's just like me and him, he needed something different at that time, and I needed something different at that time. So that's when I was like, hey, thank you for the opportunity. I love it. Thank you for every learning thing you have, but I got to go out and do my own thing. And so he blessed me. He was like, hey, man, we thank you for taking the job. Thank you for doing all this. I appreciate working hard. We know, you know what I mean? Like, we know you weren't made for this.
Yeah.
And so it was a hard thing to do. I hated telling somebody that you care about, hey, I gotta go do my own thing, but it was what was best for me at the time.
Yeah, so just kind of take me through, like, what did the resolution of your own trucking company, what did that look like? Like, when did you just say, okay, you said that you took the $30,000 loss, but what did that look like?
So it was, I bought 2 trucks.
Yeah.
I bought 2 trucks, and so they're about $50,000 a piece. You know, so I went to the bank, got the loan. My uncle helped me get the loan at the time. They were doing a lot of business with this bank, so that's what that looked like as I went and got the money, hired drivers, was paying them payroll taxes, and God bless, Elisa, she was helping me a ton with that on the back end of it. And then, you had to hire a CPA to do your taxes. And so it was a lot to handle for a 25-year-old dude.
Yeah, didn't really expect all of that going there.
No. I was just so ambitious. Like,
yeah.
I didn't know how to channel any of this, like, entrepreneurial energy. I was just like, I want to own my own business. I was grabbing at literally anything. And so this is what thing that caught my eye. Elisa owned her own store, and so had much respect for that. She was 22, opened up a clothing store. She's turned 29. She still got it. Had it for almost 7 years now.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And so we just had that. We had that like mentality of us against the world. Let's take it. And then it started. So this is when I still own the trucking company coming to Northwestern Mutual. So being a financial advisor. So they didn't really care for me having a vested interest in something else.
Yeah.
They didn't care. So it wasn't like they were asking me to sell it, but it was just like, it was hard to give this thing 100% and then own a trucking company on the side too.
Yeah.
It was.
That's a weird thing to have on the side.
It is. And especially for this business, being a financial advisor, you really have to have all your eggs in this basket early on, or you're just not going to make it. And so really in this field, 1 in 10 make it, maybe. So if I'm recruiting 10 guys a year, one of them's really going to make it, maybe 2. And so we don't lose them here as much in Jonesboro, but national average, that's what it is. And so if you're not fully bought in and doing this 100%, your chances of making it are not going to be existent. So I come around, it still ended up about $30,000 in debt when I was getting ready to sell this thing. So I could have tried to work my way out of it and try to keep the trucking company, let it earn the money. But I was just like, I took a hit. Now I have a loan that I pay, every month to try to repay that debt. But so it's a lesson I learned, and I don't want anybody, if they want to come talk to me about owning a business at 25, come talk to me. I'll try to steer you in the right way, or at least try to learn from my mistakes big time. Because there's been people that's lost a lot worse than I have.
I was just about to say, I mean, that's like average student loan.
Yeah, I don't really have a ton of student loans.
Exactly.
Because I work my So it's, but this loan, they come a knocking if I don't pay. So it's it's stressful.
We talked about student loans. We talked about college. If you could go back and change anything about your college experience, would you, knowing what you know now, would you still go through college, or would you just like cut out the trucking company and try to move into this financial advisor role sooner? That's
tough. That's a tough answer because, I'm almost a believer a little bit of our experiences are what shape us.
Yeah. 100%.
And so I guess there's a little bit of give and take, but I told somebody today, if I would have known about Northwestern's internship as a college student, I'd have been doing this anyway. I'd have been in the internship.
You really think so?
Oh yeah. Just because, you know me, I was somebody who, knew a ton of people. I knew a ton of people. I know about everybody.
Yeah.
And then, as well as that, you can't get me to shut up.
Yeah.
So I needed something to channel that. And, I think too many kids nowadays just go to school just cause.
Oh, that's why I always ask that question.
And
because
I don't think I wish I would have. In a perfect world, Tevin, I think kids need to have there needs to be a class for high school seniors. It's called Life.
Yeah.
And they get $50,000 a year, or you pick a subject, you pick what you want to go to in college, and you reenact what that looks like in real life. of you can go be an engineer and you draw your engineer hat and hey, you're going to make $50,000-$60,000 a year. You're going to have $70,000 worth of student loan debt. Or if you're an engineer, you're probably going to get your school paid for. Let's be real. You're a smart guy. If you're a doctor, hey, that's great. You're going to have $450,000 of student loan debt. You're going to make, residency, you're going to make $50,000 a year. And then when you come out, you're going to make $300,000. How do we manage that? And I wish that, and then, hey, you don't want to go to school, go be a plumber. I have clients that are plumbers. I have clients that are electricians. Those guys murder it. I got clients that are on their own. I got clients that own their own lawn care business and just absolutely murder it. And so there's ways to do it. And sort of what me and you were talking about earlier, even the podcast stuff is places. There's a ton of places to make money. Kids do not need to go. If you're going to go be a lawyer, you're going to go be a banker, a doctor, I think for sure college is worth it. Yeah. Because that's the way to get those jobs.
Well, that's why I was kind of curious, because you didn't go to school to be a financial advisor. Yeah. You could have studied finance. Sure. So would you recommend someone going to get a 4-year finance degree if they want to do what you do?
Yeah. Just because you come in, there's not that big learning curve of I come in knowing a ton of people and, I knew a ton of people and I knew, that I had a good work ethic. That was all I knew. And so I couldn't have told you barely the difference between a stock and a bond when I first started. So I think definitely business school teaches you how to run a business. So I knew a little bit of that from the trucking company, but I'm all about getting your toes wet in a lot of different things though. Yeah. So I don't know if college necessarily allows you to do that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but I think if you're hell bent and know what you want to do, go to college to do it. But man, there's nothing wrong with, going to an ASU Newport, ASU Paragould and getting your basics done at a cheap price.
Exactly. And I think there's a stigma of going to things like that.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, oh man, I don't want to go to ASU Newport. Then, none of my friends are going to be there and all these other things that really don't matter to an 18-year-old.
Trust me. I saw my friends enough. I didn't need to see them in class.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think dipping your toes into a lot of different things is key when you're younger at that point. Just and find what you're passionate about and then follow it. That is more important. That's almost like gold to a kid like that, because I've seen too many. I see it daily. I talk to people daily about their jobs and their careers.
Why do you think there are so many people that are doing careers and things that they don't like?
Well, so it was our parents. What did happens in our parents' generation? They stayed in the same company. And me and you talked about this a little bit on episode 1 of there was pension plans. I mean, that was
the trusty pension plan.
The pension plan. That was a absolute gold mine for certain people, and it kept their butts in one place. And wages were back then. Wages were a little bit better, and college wasn't so expensive.
Yeah.
And so you could go somewhere, go get a college degree, come out with a pension plan. You're not going to move. And so we were taught that stigma of, our parents college was the key to everything. College was going to open up every door for you. And now all it is an expensive daycare service.
Exactly. And going back to your point, I think there definitely has to be something that teaches our next generation some of these things. Like we talked about, I can't remember if this is on air or off air, but you have to be able to tell somebody that if you want to be an artist, don't go to ASU and get an art degree. Because
I think that was off air, but I
because I mean, you're gonna have a lot more debt than what you're gonna be making, and there's not much of a field for that here. You know what I mean? There's certain things that if you want to do, going to college isn't the right thing, but they'll still let you take out the $50,000 loan to make $25,000 as an art teacher or whatever.
So here's the thing. I was skeptical of college because all college is going out and I'm basically investing in myself as a business. That's what college is.
Yeah.
Because if I want somebody to invest in my business, I got to present numbers and everything, and I go, hey, my business is worth $100,000. If you want to give me $10,000, I'll give you 10%. That's how people invest in a business. If people invest in Jordan Owen, the college student, they just gave me money like it was. They were like, here, we know what you're going to do. We know you're going to go to Brick House.
Yeah.
We know you're going to go to J-Town. we know you're going to be doing stuff you don't need to be doing, but we're going to give you $50,000 anyway. And guess what? Even if you declare bankruptcy, we're still coming after these payments.
Yeah.
And so, I agree with you 100%. I think you need to know your market.
Yeah.
That's big. That's big. And so, knowing what you want to do is massive. And so, I don't think it costs. I mean, there's value a little bit in the college experience.
Yeah.
Per se.
Oh, 100%. But
you can go take a $25,000 loan and go and hang out in Dallas, Texas for a year and learn. You know what I mean? Like learn more than you will in college.
Yeah.
And so go do that. Go do that and try to start your own business. I'm a business. There are worker bees and there are queen bee or like owning. There is. There just is. Sort of what me and you were talking about earlier when we started this thing of, I go, Tevin, I got an idea. I want to like own my own media network now. We want to do podcasts. And that's just where my mind goes.
Yeah. Because like I said, we started with this, and you're like, all right, how can we scale it? How can we make this like a whole business and have other people doing podcasts and get a percent of all that? But
that's just where my mind goes. It's just
100%. And like I said, some people are just wired that way, and some people are wired differently. But I'm a firm believer that at 18 years old, you haven't been away from the traditional path enough to know really what you want to do. No. So like that's what we were saying. Like you go to 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, and you don't question it. The year ends, you go to summer, you go to the next thing. And right after high school, you just go to college because everyone's told you you're going to go to college. They've been talking about the real world and how people in college aren't going to, take you slacking off for your whole life. And then you get there and then you find a degree that you might not really be interested in because you have, 2 years to really get your basics down and decide a major, and now you're locked into what you're supposed to quote unquote be doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's a big decision to make at 20. Like you said, you were 25 owning a trucking company and you really didn't, I
didn't know what the crap I was
exactly.
doing. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, how do you expect somebody at 20 and you've given them all this money and really to a 20-year-old $50,000 in debt is like monopoly money. You don't see that. You're not
paper money.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't even see it.
Exactly. They're like, no, we're just going to apply this to your account, and then here's $1,500. All right, I'm going to Panama City. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly right. That's a very good point. And I think the more we can do as a generation of helping them know that. So here's another thing though, Tevin. College is a safety blanket.
Yeah.
College is a safety blanket. If you don't want to go to the real world, what do? You go to college.
Yeah.
You get your parents off your butt because you're like, I'm going to college.
Exactly.
And so it is a safety blanket where people don't want to take risk of, that 18-year-old artist can go to college and go, okay, I got 4 years to figure it out.
Well, have you ever noticed I keep saying the real world, but you notice like if someone asks you like someone from a different generation, like one of your parents' friends or someone that's older, if you tell them you're going to school, they're like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, what are you going to school for? And they don't question anything else.
Yeah.
They think that, you're doing something with your life if you're going to school. But if you tell them that, you're trying to, you're just working right now, working on you, they're just like, oh, Jordan, he's pretty troubled. I don't know.
Tevin, that's awesome. Then they go home and go, Marcy, I saw Tevin. He's not doing well. He's not doing well at all. No. He's working on himself.
Yeah. I'm worried about that guy.
I think so. We sort of we have a meeting every Monday morning, all the financial advisors in the office, and it's really just to break down. If you're under 5 years in our career, you're considered still new.
Yeah.
And then after 5 years, it's almost like your tenure. You're here. You're not going anywhere. And so all the under fives get into a room, and we're sort of talking about.
How many people would that be right now? Rough estimate.
There's 4 under 5 right now,
and that includes you, right?
Yeah, that includes me.
Okay.
No, there's 5. There's 5. Yeah. So there's we have 3 within a year.
So is Connor still here?
Yeah, Connor's still here.
Okay.
So, oh boy, I lost my train of thought. Now
you said the Monday meeting or whatever. It's just all of y'all under 5s or in
Yeah. This is what happens when I get on a tangent. Boy, I totally literally forgot where we were going.
No, you said
you were talking about you can't work on yourself. That's where we were going. Of Tevin's, Tevin's doing great. He's working on himself.
Yeah.
Boy, that sucks. I totally forgot. But we have a meeting in here, and it's the under 5-year guys come in, and we all sit there and we go over each other's numbers. We sort of talk about what's going on in our lives. And I think, boy, we're gonna have to edit that out. I totally literally forgot.
No, it's all good because I was gonna ask you this anyway. So like you were talking about the under 5 guys. Are all of them from a traditional background, or are they kind of like
literally none? Literally none.
Well, so that's what I was saying. You said that if you recommended somebody doing this, you'd recommend them going to college. So that's why I was really wondering, like, do y'all just recruit for people that, like, let's say I wanted to do this and I applied or whatever, would you be looking for, Tevin didn't have a finance degree.
No.
We're gonna put him at the bottom of the stack.
We care more about the person more than we do.
Sure.
So Randy, our MD, he went the traditional route of internship turned into a full-time advisor, and that's where they want you to come from. They want you to do the internship because it's a good way to test the business. So while you're in college, you can test the business. You get to do everything I do as a full-time advisor. You usually do some work with an advisor.
Yeah.
You get paid to do it, so it's a paid internship.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a paid internship. And then if you produce enough, you get a chance to, switch on your contract to a full-time advisor. They like that route. So Drew, the advisor beside me, in the next office over, he's a traditional, went the internship, did it for like 2.5 years, switched on to a full-time advisor. So tenure, me and him have been here. We both started in 2016 as full-time advisors. He actually was here 2013. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the internship, they like that. They like that sort of pedigree to go through. But, me, we talked about my background, coaching, trucking company. The guy next to me, his name's Tyler. Great guy. He was just, he knows everybody. But he didn't take this traditional route. Knows everybody, knows how to talk to everybody, but just, didn't take the traditional route out of college. Connor, med student.
Yeah.
Turned financial advisor. But, for him, I'll let him tell his own story, but for him, he's a fascinating story of went to med school because that's what he thought he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
His dad's a doctor.
He'd be a good interview.
Yeah. His dad's a doctor. Great guy. I think his grandpa was a doctor. And so he was going to school to be a doctor. Could have done it. Could have done well at it. Honestly, he diagnoses us sometimes when we don't even know it.
Yeah.
Could have done well at it, but just didn't feel fulfilled.
Exactly.
Didn't feel fulfilled. And so sort of was stressing out, worrying, and he's a client. He started as a client of ours. We were helping him through because some of my biggest clients or best clients are, hey, physicians who need help working with student loans. That's a big thing of a financial advisor's job title is helping, people navigate student loans and when's the right thing to pay them off, when's the right ones to pay them off. And so he was a client of ours already, getting ready to go through a residency program, stuff like that, and just did not feel fulfilled.
So how'd you help him?
Initially, just he was getting brought in to look at the career of say you're a client of mine, Tevin, you will go through the process of I'll show you everything I do. If that's something you enjoy, like, hey man, that was fun. That was a fun process. If that's something you want to talk about, we'll listen.
Yeah.
We don't need to recruit, but if you're a bright young guy that, is hungry, we want to know you. We want to know you and we want to know of you. There's a book, so I think everybody should read this book coming out of high school. It's called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink.
Okay. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, put it in the show notes. And it's a great book. So it's basically him as a Navy SEAL going through. And the ultimate thing of the book, and it changed my life, take extreme ownership of everything you do, and you will be so much better off moving forward. And so for me, like any kind of mistake I made, or if I don't make enough money this month, I mess up something on the computer, it's my fault. Yeah. It's my fault and it's nobody else's fault. And I think if people read that and understand it and comprehended it, then they would be able to take, college more seriously of, Everything you do is your fault.
So I'm going to ask you this.
Shoot.
So we've talked about the school system a lot in this episode. So why don't you think they teach any sort of financial education growing up?
I don't know. That puzzles me to this day. I talked to a couple guys on some Nettleton school boards. I talked to one guy specifically, and he said I think they're interjecting that now. They're trying to teach financial classes now in high school, or at least trying to interject that into the curriculum. But I don't know. I don't know why we were never taught any of that.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this question.
Shoot.
So I'm 18 years old. I come to you for some financial advice. I tell you that I really don't know what I want to do, and I'm trying to seek some guidance. Like, I don't have any scholarships or anything. What do you tell me that I should do? Like, I've got a full-time job and I'm working, but I really don't like the full-time job. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Like, what advice would you give me? I'm trying to decide if I want to go to college or not.
Okay. So numero uno is I'll start this by saying I really don't believe in blanket advice. So everybody's different.
Yeah.
So everybody's different,
100%.
but I want to know if you're a worker bee or a spirit bee, entrepreneur bee.
Yeah.
So that, for me, that's, I'm asking some prodding questions
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah.
Like,
So I tell you that I'm a worker bee right now, but I have an entrepreneurial spirit. Like, that's where I want to move.
Sure. And so my thing is, I want you to try to find a way. So take a job where you can do the least amount of work and make the most amount of money. So don't go to college.
Okay.
Don't go to college, at least for now. If you want to take a few classes, that's fine. Go to ASU Paragould, sign up, take a few classes. I'm okay with that. Take 9 classes.
Yeah.
If you want to do it. But the biggest thing you could do is start from that time of, let's say you go to work at 8, you get off at 4. From 4 to 10, you need to be trying to poke your spirit.
Yeah. Of
something. Like looking on Instagram, do a podcast with some friends, go out and eat, hang out, experience life. That's what I'm telling. Of hours between 4 and 10, or when you're off work, start spending those on what you want to do, and develop something where it's like find a need.
Yeah.
Find a need in any kind of market you want to, and then see how you can fill that need. That's it. And so I'm not saying go to college. If you want to go to college, that's fine. If you're really going to fight me on it, but I don't think you're going to fight me on it.
Yeah.
And so I think you should go try to find a job where you can pay for your living expenses.
Yeah.
So, go live with 3 of your buddies. Y'all go get a house together. So I would tell you now, go buy a house and then rent out 2 rooms to your friends.
100%.
So make them to pay the rent.
Yeah.
Make them to pay the rent. So basically you're getting rent for free. So you got a free house. I would tell you to do that, or try to find a way to do that. So if your parents can help you with a house loan, something like that. I don't know, or just rent something and then find a job to pay for your living expenses. So have 3 months savings in the bank. So if you cannot work for 3 months, you have enough money in the bank.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of that. And then, so find a job that can help you get that, and then start spending time on what you want to do, and start doing a bunch of different things. That's my advice for somebody like that, because then you're going to realize. So what happens there, Tevin? You find out, so you took my path without my debt.
Yeah. Yeah. So bringing it back full circle, we still haven't really talked about this. Just take me through an entire day of like what you do.
So as a financial advisor?
As a financial advisor.
Okay. Yeah. It always starts with, I told you, like getting up.
Was this routine different when you first started?
Yeah. Yes.
Take me through that first.
So when I first started, I was 25. Nobody was telling me when to get to work. And I had some early success, which I rested on my laurels a little bit. And so, taking full ownership, I was getting in. Some days I was getting in at 9, 9:30, 10. Nobody was checking on me, which caused ebbs and flows of my business, because I was not being a good business owner. I was not getting to work early. I was not eating healthy. Like, I was not taking care of myself. I was just, being lazy at times, because I had early success and I was naturally good at what I did, but I didn't take the next steps to go to the next level. And so over time, you see the successful people in our business and you sort of go, hey, what's making you successful?
Yeah.
And they go consistency, discipline, learning. And so if you want to be successful, you sort of go, you sort of take little notes and little snippets from everybody and, make it your own in a way you want to make it your own. But I just started looking at, to be my best self, I got to be up early. So in a perfect world, I'm at the gym at like 6, up at 5:30 at the gym at 6, back home, do like a little 30-minute cardio gym session, maybe even at the gym at 5:30.
Yeah.
Just whenever I can get up and around, but by 6, home by 7, shower, get here. So office by 7:30. And then start the day off with some kind of reading or learning till 8. So on Mondays, we have a mandatory meeting that we have. Like I told you, that we all have a Monday morning meeting. That's the only day I have to be in the office by 8. And then really it's, so on the other days from 8 to 9 is really day prep. So it's like, what am I doing today? And how can I prep to make sure I get the most out of the day? That's from 8 to 9, and then 9 I start hopping on the phone. So I need to be in front of somebody.
Yeah. So you just cold calling people, or you got a list of people?
No, it's all referral based.
Okay.
It's all referral based. So I never really cold call. It's all I work with my existing clients, and I have certain fields that I enjoy working with more, and so you try to get warm referrals from there. So let's say, so one of my markets is therapist. So we know a common therapist, TJ.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know if you were talking mental health or you're talking about
any of them, any just therapists, occupational therapists, mental health therapists, physicians. I enjoy working with physicians, but I just said therapists to know, like we know common ground.
Yeah.
So instead of, I see TJ, a new therapist in town, and I go, hey, me and Tevin know, like, let's just pretend that I don't know TJ.
Yeah.
I know Tevin knows TJ.
Yeah.
I see pictures of them together.
Yeah.
So I know, say you're a client of mine.
Yeah.
I call you, hey Tevin, what's going on? Hey man, same thing that me and you did. We talked about some financial advice.
Yeah.
I see you're friends with TJ. That's really in my market. Would you be willing to introduce me to TJ?
Yeah.
That's how my business works, more than cold calling. So it is cold calling to a little bit of, me and TJ don't know each other, but I try to warm it up by some kind of common reference. So just because everybody needs what I do. Yeah. Like, I'm a firm believer. For me, it's working within a budget, like teaching people how to work within a budget, how to pay down debt efficiently. Do you need to save do you have the right amount of money in savings? What does that number look like, and why? If you do not come home tomorrow, is your family taken care of? If you can't work tomorrow, do we have the proper plans in place? And if you do have investment accounts with somebody else or with, through your work, are they allocated right? To make sure, because if you're not allocated properly yesterday, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I can find, there's one of those areas right there where somebody's not doing properly. And then if I can help them in that area, ultimately they see hey, there's some value here, and they tend to open up a little bit more. And but my goal is to be at the center of every one of my clients' financial lives, like Greg.
Yeah. So, when you were giving me the tour, you talked a little bit about the 6 F's, I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead and explain that a little bit for me.
So, I'm probably going to botch this, but it's faith. Faith is always first.
Yeah.
Family, friends, fitness, finances, and fun. So
you did good.
Yeah. So if you can do all those, like for, if you're, I don't consider you necessarily successful if you're not covering all those 6 F's. And that's sort of the things we preach. If you're going to come as an advisor here, you got to be doing those 6 things properly. And so, I think it's critical to anybody's success of, like, you have to have a faith based of something. I don't care what your faith in, but you got to have faith in something. Something's got to be bigger than you that you're working towards. friends, or you show me your 5 friends you hang out with every day. I'm gonna show you your future. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, you are who you hang out with. That's so true. Family, you got to take care of your family. Family should be everything to you. And fitness. So, discipline, being successful takes discipline. So if you're not disciplined in yourself, your body's a temple, then you're not gonna be disciplined in any other aspect of your life. I mean, there's successful people that are overweight, sure, and I don't want to hate on them, but it's like, for me, success breeds. I got to be disciplined. I got to be disciplined in every, like, I wasn't at times, and that's where I was not successful. And so I think I've lost like 30 pounds here in the past like 6 months. It's
you look good, man.
Yeah, you got to take the fitness into aspect, and then finances come in. So if I'm not financially secure, I'm not going to be giving you the right advice. You know what I mean? If I'm not preaching what I'm doing, then none of my stuff means, holds any weight. So you got to be safe and secure there. You got to be doing the right things financially, and then fun is the last one. And so we believe that you got to have fun in what you're doing. So it's sort of what this podcast is about. Just hey, have fun. Really do if you do what you enjoy, you won't work. And so that's we try to preach those success to anybody coming in.
And I think that's awesome, man. Like, just by hearing you talk about what you do, I can tell that you're good at it.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he said that a few times.
Yeah. It's sort of anything that gets beat into you. Every day you sort of hear it and you listen. One of the coolest things as a leader, and to see these new guys, and I've got to see it a little bit. But even some of the kids that I was helped coaching this past year at Annie Camp is like, one of the more fulfilling things is when you constantly preach something into somebody, and it clicks, it absorbs them, and they sort of like practice what you preach.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so that's really cool. And so that was one of the things that Randy said to me. I told him I messed up on something. I was like, Randy, I'm sorry. Like, it's my fault. I did something wrong. I promise it won't happen again, but that was my fault. And he was like, he goes, you probably wouldn't have accepted that 3 years ago. Like, you wouldn't have done that. He said, it's nice to see, you sort of come full circle. Yeah. And so, like, you're right. I have said those success probably 1,000 times, but it's because if I don't believe in them, then if I recruit a new guy, he's not going to believe in them. And so I gotta carry that conviction, because when Connor comes in, Connor's a new guy, or Tyler's a new guy. We even got a new guy named Cornelius. Like, those guys, if I don't practice what I preach, then these guys, they rely on me, because if I'm not showing them a way to be successful, then they're not going to have a way to be successful. And then that's hurting their family. That's hurting, it's hurting them. That's hurting their family. And I don't want to take food out of their kid's mouth.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wear that more than I wear my own success. I got to be doing what's right for them, because if they follow my lead, it needs to be the right lead. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, what does your next 1 to 2 years in this field look like? Like, what are you striving for? What are some of your goals?
So I guess for me is to take more of a leadership role here in Jonesboro.
Okay.
So I joined a few neighborhood commissions. Like, I'm wanting to be on some committees this summer. I guess when coronavirus sort of takes a break, I'm trying to be a more leadership role in Jonesboro and in this office. So we're going through some transition of, Randy's been our leader for 15, 20 years. He's been doing a great job. And so we're still holding we're still holding, with him. But I think I want to take a leadership role here in Jonesboro and recruit my own team. So that's my goal the next 1 to 2 years, is have my own team here in Jonesboro of maybe 2 or 3 advisors that are under me personally.
There you
go. Take a management role with them, and then definitely be a leader here in Jonesboro. That ultimately maybe some city council I'd like to run for city council here probably the next 5 years.
Okay, you got my vote, man. You got my vote.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect, I've said that a couple times, but in a perfect world, I think that's what I would want to do is be part of leadership here in Jonesboro, making sure Jonesboro's in the right direction, and then be leadership in my office. I enjoy that more than the actual advising.
Yeah.
It's more of leadership roles. Like I invest.
Like you said, if you're going to be working in a school, you wanted to be the superintendent. So.
Yeah. It's just that's where my mind goes. It's like we sort of talked about. I want to own my own media company now. Like I'm addicted to it.
I'm down for that right there, man. I'm telling you.
I'm addicted to it at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just got a few more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. What are some of your hobbies outside of working as a financial advisor?
I guess number one is golf.
Yeah,
like that's probably my favorite hobby. It's just I'm always on the phone. I'm always in front of somebody, looking at numbers, managing people, managing clients. So anytime I can go shut that off is very important to me. So golf, any kind of I love watching sports, and but as far as like
NBA right now.
Yeah, I love all that NBA stuff, but for me, I guess it's ultimately golf and friend time. Like I hang out with my friends a lot.
It's important, man.
It is.
It's important to get that time, man, because I just think, especially like at this age in our lives when like we're trying to make these steps in our careers, and we're all starting families, and we don't get to see each other as much as we'd like to. I mean, it's been a blast just sitting down with you, but I couldn't tell you the last time we hung out, before that. So
our reunion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love people too. So like, I love just getting to be in front of people that I just want to talk to, and I think it's important for me to be my best self. I feel like you have to do things that remind you of who you are outside of work.
Sure.
And I mean, it's just essential to growth. Yeah. But moving on to the next question, these are a few like little lighthearted questions. Sure. Let's see. What was the last good movie you watched?
Well, that's a good question. So, okay, here it is. Some people like poo-poo this movie.
Yeah.
And Godzilla King of Monsters was so good. Was so good to me. And that was the last time I walked out of the movie theater going, I really like that movie.
Yeah.
Like that's the last time I really walked out of a movie theater. I was like, have you watched that movie?
No, I haven't seen it.
Tevin. Okay, have you watched the first Godzilla?
I didn't see it.
Have you watched King Kong and Skull Island?
Yes.
Okay, they're connected, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the third one in the next, like in line with that, is Godzilla King of Monsters.
Yeah.
And then now the next movie that's in production right now is Godzilla versus King Kong.
Okay.
So
that's pretty cool. Okay, so what are some podcasts or book recommendations that you would want to give the listeners?
So numero uno book recommendation is Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership.
That's got to be number one. And then if you're in any kind of management role, so if you're listening to this and you're in any kind of management role, there's a book called The Ideal Team Player.
Yeah,
it's a great book. I listen to books. I'm an Audible guy.
Oh, we're podcasting right now.
Yeah, and so I listen to The Ideal Team Player. Mm-hmm. It's great. So it's great when you're talking about a management role of putting a team together. So that's the biggest thing. What's good for it is you're putting a team together. You're trying to build an ideal team player. So anybody should read Extreme Ownership. If you're in any kind of leadership role, I think you should read The Ideal Team Player.
Okay.
And I think both of those go together. And then if you're in any kind of like sales role, read a book called Rejection Proof.
Okay.
And it's fascinating, this guy. So if you follow me on Facebook, I've sort of taken a journey of like 100 straight days of complimenting somebody.
Oh yeah. I was wondering what that was going on with that.
It was just
I made it on there to one of those days. Shout out.
Yeah. And for me, it was like trying to be consistent in something. Could you be consistent in doing something 100 days every day? Like that was why I wanted to do it. But this guy goes on a journey to get rejected every day.
Why?
So because he was so, he was really nervous about getting rejected. Like,
Yeah.
and what you realize is you build the fear up of rejection way more in your head than actually,
Yeah.
than it actually is. And so it's fascinating the way some of just the epiphanies he has of going through this journey of getting rejected every day. And he actually becomes,
Rejection Proof.
he goes semi-viral with it.
Yeah.
And it's just, he starts videotaping his rejections. So sales, if you're in any kind of sales, I think Rejection Proof's great. Leadership roles, the ideal team player, and anybody and everybody should read Extreme Ownership. So I think that's what I would go. Podcasters, I don't think you know what? So I'm not the biggest Joe Rogan fan, but he interviewed a guy, and his name is Naval. I cannot think of his last name, but we'll put it in the show notes. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
He talks about like personal. So this is exactly your podcast. He talks about personal enlightenment and happiness. He's a compassionate capitalist. He's called an angel capitalist or something.
Yeah.
But he just wants people to be happy. Like, and how do you be happy? And so I think any and everybody should listen to that single podcast of the Joe Rogan Experience. Like, I'm not saying listen to everything he does.
Yeah.
That one's worth 1,000 other podcasts.
Okay. And let's see. The last one I got for you. If you were a musical artist and you had to compose a hit song with you and two other artists on this song, what would it be? Who would you have on your song?
Bruno Mars.
Ooh,
is the first one. That's a good question. So Bruno Mars and Pharrell.
Wow,
would be
dig that.
Yeah, would be mine too, and it would be some kind of like 24 karat magic.
Yeah, there you go.
Vibe of
just play it at every wedding,
man. So I'm all about like getting pumped up, good feelings, good vibes, and stuff like that. And I think you couldn't help but to smile to like have Pharrell and Bruno Mars on a track together. Yeah, I think that would be mine.
Yeah,
well, pulled that one out of my butt, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. But I mean, I've asked this question to a few different people that I've interviewed, and it's just thought provoking. And I just like to see where some people would go. I think the last person I interviewed said Lizzo and Blake Shelton. So exactly. So I mean,
I'm not saying that would be great, but that would be,
that's a difference in audiences for sure. Yep. But I mean, like I said, I just like thought-provoking questions, and I'm gonna continue to hit people with these random questions just to see how they react. But Jordan, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Absolutely,
like, this has probably been my favorite interview of all time.
Good.
We're gonna wrap it up here, and if you guys want to support the show on Patreon in any capacity, that we are at patreon.com/The Clever Angle. Jordan, thank you again, sir, and we will see you Monday.
Yeah,
we're gonna get this media company / podcast off the ground, man. And it's a pleasure doing this with you, man.
Absolutely, brother.